All right, y'all just got done watching part one of Lyle break down Micah Hudson's film. We wanted to make it into part two. That way there could be a little bit more talking points and you're not watching this for, I don't know, 4 hours. Because let's be real, Lyle loves talking football, and I'm sure we'd be here this long if he let us be. Back like we never left, as you can see by Lyle's name. I'm
Mm-hmm.
RC Maxfield. Here we go. Look at this play by Micah Hudson right here. Again, traditional three-step drop, it looks like. And then, hey, I'm just going to let Micah Hudson do some special things, Lyle. Isn't that kind of what we're seeing?
Yeah, man, that's the thing that uh, it was kind of taught to us growing up. The quarterback puts it in the area, you go get it. That's the name of the game. So, I love how, um, you know, Micah goes up and get it. If I'm being ticky and tacky, I love to see him running underneath the ball and go score a touchdown. But, like I said, him jumping up, making a high point in the ball is a quality a lot of kids can't do at that at the high school level. They don't go up and get it like that. So that's a tough
I think he
catch,
hit the
man.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he did.
Look
That's
at
a
that.
that's a that's a tough catch right there. But like I said, if I'm being picky, I like to see him run underneath that thing and get in the end zone. But I mean, that's a great catch. Good throw by the quarterback too. I don't know where
All
he's
right,
going.
so
Somebody needs to hop on
I'm,
him.
I'm pretty sure Micah's up here at the top of the screen. He's one of these two wide receivers right here. Hard to tell with the grainy film a little bit, but here we go. Yeah, you can tell which one's Micah's pretty easily right there.
Yeah,
Puts his
my
foot in the
question
ground,
is
pop.
is I don't have anything bad to say about any coach, but I mean, what are we doing? That brother right there
Talk about the defense,
should have three people on him
putting him on an island. Like, what are
on
you
the island.
doing?
That's
But
tough.
I will say this: it's like it goes back to what we were talking about in part one here, though. It's like in high school, even if you put three guys on him, like yeah, it's probably gonna help a little bit, but some of the traits that he brings to the table, it's like even three against one, sometimes you're gonna choose Micah Hudson.
Yeah, but right now they putting that young
It gives you
man
a better
10.
shot at least.
You put that man on the island 10, and he didn't have a chance from the get go. From the snap of the ball, that young man was running
Look
wide.
at the subtle. Maybe I'm overblowing this, but look at the subtlety of like him off the line. I don't know if you can see my cursor right now, but the not the offensive lineman, but the outside linebacker there, right on the 10 on the hash. Micah almost looks like he fakes inside just for a split second, that left foot, and then boom, out.
Well, I'll tell a lot of people, man. As receivers out there, man, the key to being a great receivers at all the receivers I work with, I talk to, is leverage. And I think that's where a lot of these guys excel in. I think some still don't get it, even at the high level. Understanding wherever that guy is at, that's what he's protecting. He was inside of Micah, so obviously Micah knows that guy is protecting the inside of him. He's like, I do not want him to go to the inside, but because of the way he ran his route, he evened him up. And once you even up a DB, you can go left, you can go right, you can stop, you can run by him. But a lot of times, if you're outside and the DB's inside of you, you have an inside route, you're going to go right to where he's standing. It makes it easy. So right there, Michael does a great job of evening him up. Once he evens him up, he sees that his hips are, he's facing the sideline. So Micah, knowing that he's running we call it a corner post. I'm sure everybody in America does, but knowing that he's running a corner post, once he evens him up, it makes that DB kind of square him up. His hips are turned the wrong way. There's no way that he can. There's no way that he
Can't
can.
get back.
Yeah, there's some, like I said, but at the next level, when he faces guys are going to do a speed turn, which means he's going to turn on his outside shoulder and be able to react. So that's a great route by him, and that's like some of these dudes don't understand how important leverage is, and that's, to me, I learned that from my dad growing up, and I also learned it from Crap. If you can get their hips turned and you're patient, he knew right there what he was running is a wrap. Once his hips was turned, I know he was probably smiling when he got to that 5 yard line, like, yeah, it's a wrap. And so there's no better feeling as a receiver to see the DB's hips turn the wrong way right before you get into your route. You like, you know what? It's a done deal. I just need 3 more steps. And that young man didn't have a chance. So there's no way he could flip his hips around fast. So
And
great
this was all in the first 5 yards. He did that though,
job. Mm-hmm.
right? So by the time again they're on the 20 or I guess the 15. I mean, this was all dictated in terms of the safety's hips though by Micah within the 15 to 10 yard line.
Yeah.
because of that first initial step, hard left foot around the 10-yard line. That
And
got this outside linebacker out of position as well, even though it looks like they're kind of running him out into cover, like drop coverage out there just in case that running back
yeah, they're
comes
definitely
out, but
cover
he's back
four.
to block. But
Yeah.
also, you would think he's still there, it looks like, to potentially help the safety not lose leverage that quickly, even though he lost it in the first 5 yards.
Yeah, man. Cover four, everybody's supposed to be back, but cover four a lot of times turns into man coverage. And
Mhm.
so once they get to 10 yards, it's man coverage. So the second thing he does is breaks his cushion too. So it's just like I tell my kids with basketball. If you're crossing somebody over 10 feet away, it's no good. So Micah does a good job of breaking his cushion. And I tell him it's an arm length. If you're making an arm length away, if you watch crossovers in basketball, anytime someone's crossed over, it's an arm length away. So he does a great job of evening them up. And then once he evens them up, he breaks his cushion. Once you get in somebody's bubble, it makes the DB panic like, oh. And once he gets him right there, he crosses them arm length, and it's a wrap. And going up to make that catch, knowing that he's going to fall down was, so I got to give him props. That was sickening.
Yeah, I do that in Madden all the time.
Yeah, not
Does my
me. My
creative
people
player?
are mad and drop the ball. It pisses me off.
Oh, really? Must be
Yeah,
using the Cowboys. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Um, this next play by Micah, though, get in the slot. Again, I think he could play anywhere, but I'm fascinated to see potentially what he would look like in the slot in a Zach Kittley offense. Because again, you can run, you have your whole route tree outside. It's limited a little bit because you think about it. Yes, there's only one defender on you most of the time, but technically there's two because the sideline is a defender, right?
Mm,
Like simple and plain. The
mhm,
sideline is a cornerback's best friend, especially an
mhm,
outside one.
mhm.
And so when you put a guy like Micah as closest to the hash as you possibly can, crazy things happen. It feels like. And this play right here, I remember this play. This play is, he just nothing. You could tell too early on, Lyle. Like he does a subtle look up of the coverage. He looks back real quick. Let me see if I can figure. I know in the long form of this, you can see him look at the safety and he points. So there's a safety where 13 is right now. There's actually a safety over on that side, and they switch.
Yeah, and
And
that's
then
that.
boom.
Two things on this, man. That's a first off, that quarterback's pretty good, man. I don't know where he's
Yeah,
going.
that's a dart right there. That's a dart.
Some of you guys that need a quarterback, you might want to check them out. And then secondly, man, that's a great job by that coach. Motioning that running back makes that safety widen out. And then, the rest is him finding that area. And like I said, some people have a nose for the ball. I kind of feel like watching these, like we talked about, highlights are everyone's best plays. But I feel like he has a nose for getting there's a different people like having a nose. Like, Crab had a nose for getting in the end zone. Like Danny had a nose for catching those quick throws. Emo, all those guys had their niche. And I mean, but there's certain people that are just good at being able to find spots, get open. And I don't want to say he doesn't know. I think honestly, right now it's just natural. But I think as he gets older, the more he studies the game, there comes a point when you know what a zone coverage is, you know where to sit, and there's that takes time and studying. So I don't want to say that he doesn't know, but I also don't want to give him credit. Like, hey, as cover four, I know. I don't know at high school. I know for me personally, I wasn't looking out there going, oh man, they're in cover three. Really, I just was a little better than some people, and so I think as he gets and he learns, that's what makes you. To me, that's the difference between being good and great. Is you can look out there and say, okay, I know this outside backer here is in cover four is going to get to the 30-yard line and play the flats. So I know my curl hook will be right behind him as he sits. So I think he has a knack for catching the ball, though. You can't
No,
teach that.
it's just like I think he understands defense as well. I've heard him talk about it. Obviously, it's a high school level, right? Things are going to change drastically at the college level, and if he's fortunate enough to go pro,
Mm.
obviously it'll change too, right? But I think from like what he's seen at the high school level, he understands it pretty well. Um, but you're right; you got to give some of the credit to his coaches in terms of like putting him in the proper position to succeed. He's going to do that too. Micah would obviously say the same thing. Quarterback is solid too. Um, doesn't have the best arm, but damn, he can put it where he needs to put it, right? And that's the big thing for guys like this. But I
Yeah.
love more than anything, Lyle, like from this highlight tape. And again, I know we're kind of going slow through it, but we want to be methodical talking about it. Like, if Micah Hudson were to come to Texas Tech, just the amount of things that Zach Kitley could do creatively with him they're unimaginable, right? And you talked about it in part one, where you said, hey, Bradley's going to have to step up and everything. I'll make a bold prediction. If Micah Hudson comes to Texas Tech and Jerron Bradley stays there the first year Micah Hudson's on campus, they are the best wide receiving duo in the Big 12. It's not a competition, in my opinion, because they complement each other so well. I mean, so well in terms of what you can do. You know what it kind of reminds me of? Again, not the perfect comparison here, but it almost reminds me of the combination of like DK and Tyler Lockett, where you got the smaller guy. Obviously, Hudson's a little bit bigger than Tyler Lockett, and then Jerron is taller than DK, but nobody's as big as DK, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But it's kind of like that. You got the guy that can go up and high point it. Micah can do the same thing. Both of them can beat you deep. Both of them can beat you across the middle. Basically, what I'm saying is both of them have a full route tree, right? Now, they obviously do some routes better than others. That's just how wide receivers are. But they complement each other so well because if you put them on both sides, on the same side of the field, okay, you know that all the coverage is going to be on that side. Whoever you put on the other side, let's just say it's Loic, one-on-one Loic. If you beat him off the first step, tutty.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
No, I agree.
That's simple.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, like I said, the coolest thing is Kitley is, he's very creative when it comes to it. Don't get me wrong, Leach will find a way to get the person that needs the ball in their hands. But the thing about Leach is once we got there, we're running the Leach's offense. It don't change. It doesn't matter if you're a 5-star, 6-star, 10-star. At the end of the day, you're going to run what Leach wants to run. So I think that's the greatness of getting to want to go play for Coach Kitley is having him move you around, having him do stuff that, like we knew what we were going to do every Saturday. We were going to do every year, and it worked, and it was successful. It was great. But at the end of the day, Leach wasn't putting in a reverse pass because I could throw. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the cool thing with him. And I think it's going to help him in his career and where he's also trying to go at that next level, because it's going to say, man, he's versatile versus you pull up some people's film, they're like, oh, he's just outside receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him at running back if he comes, at inside receiver, at outside receiver, maybe even some wildcat with Kit, just because of the way
anything he wants. It's almost like, again, and I'm not trying to compare the games to this kind of player, but it's almost like Christian McCaffrey at Stanford, right? Like Christian McCaffrey played everything. Now, he was obviously listed as a running back, and he is one. He played in the slot. He played outside. They had him lined up everywhere. And I think that's, again, another reason why if you're looking at this from the standpoint of creativity from the offensive coordinators he could potentially go to, there's a reason that Sark and Zach Kitley are the two favorites to land this guy right now. We're talking about two of the top 5 most creative guys in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at it, it really is just nitpicking almost in a way. Like whatever you're saying about Zach Kitley, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, Lyle, but whatever positives you're saying about Zach Kitley, you can say the same thing about Sark, right? It's just the truth, right? But the thing is when it comes down to it, it's obviously Micah's decision, and we're talking about this from a Texas Tech perspective. It's one of those deals where I'm very interested to see him potentially play in the Scarlet and Black, but I'm almost more interested to see how he elevates other guys.
Right.
Because when you have a guy like that, it creates so much more space for others. And we've talked about Bradley already. Obviously, there's Loic. And the thing, too, is I've only named 3 guys, including Micah. You got to remember they're bringing in track stars now, right? So Micah's a traditional wide receiver. You got to remember, if you're a traditional wide receiver, and that's not a knock on Micah. That just means you can do everything, in my opinion, right? Like he's a guy that can do it all. So you put him in the slot. Let's say you put a track guy on the outside. What's that safety going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to leave him one-on-one with the nickel and Micah Hudson on the nickel, and you're going to double the guy that's trying to go on a straight route down the sideline? Or are you going to double Micah and leave your cornerback on an island with the guy that's running 4.3. And again, I know it's a 40-yard dash time, and we don't necessarily like that, but this track speed translates most of the time, right? It's just, are you going to catch the ball kind of deal. It just opens so many avenues for success in terms of bigger windows first and foremost for your quarterback, which if you got a bigger window to throw through, obviously that's a plus. But we're talking about things that I just have, in my opinion, you haven't seen a guy that could change the game offensively at Texas Tech in terms of the wide receiver position like Micah Hudson potentially could since Crabtree. Just because, again, you haven't seen a complete wide receiver like that. And that's not a knock on guys like Jakeem or anybody like that, Antoine Wesley, who have had historic seasons for Texas Tech, right? But it's one of those things where Jakeem could play outside, but he was more of an inside guy, right? Like, you could do it. Wesley could play on the inside. Like, we're talking about if Micah Hudson's playing on the outside, he's the top 5 wide receiver in the Big 12. You put him in the inside at the slot, he's arguably the best wide receiver at that position in the Big 12. You know what I mean? It's like it's apples to oranges almost in a way. And so that's the most interesting aspect of this to me, because there's not going to be a scrub in the backfield in terms of the quarterback position anymore, because you got Morton, you got Jake Strong, or you got Will Hammond throwing him the football.
Right.
Either way, you're in a good spot. And then you got Zach Kitley calling the plays for you. So this play is interesting to me too, because if my math is right, and again, call me out for bad math, Lyle, 11 yards off, which is ridiculous, but also probably warranted here because it is Micah Hudson. But the interesting aspect of this is how quickly he just navigates this and turns it and gets straight into that aspect of what you were talking about earlier. You shrink the space, create more leverage, right? Mm-hmm. And you can tell there's a spot here, Lyle, where he just sticks his foot in the ground. You can see the shadow. Yeah. And he just loses a guy. I mean, he loses him right there.
And that's that stepping forward too I talked about. Like I said, if you go back and watch anybody, I would like you go back and look at Crab. That's one thing I give to him. He's the king of stepping forward and go watch Texas game. He stepped in front and make those catches. So like I said, man, my biggest thing honestly is being the receiver guy though, is like every game he's played, we haven't seen anyone put pressure on him. So I'm excited to see what happens when someone and I can, like I said, I can tell you from experience, it's all good till a 6'3", 6'3" corner comes in your face and presses you. So he hasn't been pressed one time. I love to see that, not to say that he couldn't. But that's one thing I'd be anxious to see, because you're going to go against teams. If he's doing work like this, he's not gonna get a free range to just run off and go run past people. So I'm excited to see kind of those little things that aren't shown and stuff that he's not going to go against. He's not going to go against anybody that presses him at the high school level. He's too good. But I'm anxious to see, kind of how he reacts when you're getting pressed. Because like I said, man, there's some cats. Best cornerback ever went against Jimmy. What's his last name? He played for the
Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith, best cornerback I ever
Colorado,
played.
Right?
Yes. And when I tell you, put hands on me like he was a preacher, that brother right there, man, knows how to press. So I'm anxious to see, how he's able to do that, because that's a way to kind of stop that. If they get a nickel guy that's really good at pressing, shuts it down real quick. So I'm excited to see, and I still think, like I said, they're not going to come up and shut him down. I think he's too good to be shut down. But I'm anxious to see kind of how he reacts when they get their hands on him, and how he because he's faster than everybody. He's a better athlete.
Perfect example is right here.
But those routes though, man, I'm a route person.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't care what level of play you're at. When you make a guy do a full 360, you're doing something right.
Nah, yeah, and the people don't run routes like that. I mean, even at the college level, there's not people run routes. So like, man, that's his route running is A1.
This is probably the closest thing we've seen to press on this highlight tape right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like no one. Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested to see kind of how this goes. Again, we're kind of watching this for the first time, but I've only seen one of these highlights before, and we're just talking about it in real time. But this is the closest thing, and he's still 6 yards out. That stutter step, man. Like, and again, he's fast. Don't get us wrong. We're not saying he's not. But he's not Jakeem. He's not Jalen Waddle. He's not Tyreek or anything. Like, I think the biggest thing that I've seen so far off of this tape, Lyle, and if you think otherwise, by all means, his footwork is phenomenal. Like, his lower half, like, unreal.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where the leverage starts, too. Because here's the thing. I was not a very good wide receiver. Obviously, Lyle was. But I can tell you this is just simple science. If your hips are pointed one way, you're not going to be able to go the other way very quickly. And if somebody makes you point your hips the wrong direction, like Micah Hudson does, good luck catching up because you're not going to do it. And it's just how it works, right? And he's just so good in terms of really selling things, right? Like, that's the thing. And he sells it with his hips more than anything that I've noticed, because you can fake somebody out with your shoulders a little bit. It's a lot harder to do. But if you commit with your hips and then you got that quick twitch to turn back and go where you want to go before they do and have a first step, dunzo, lights out, game over. Just like this one right here. Like, and to be fair, Lyle, this corner actually did a pretty good job. Like, he did a pretty good job. He fell down, but Micah still beats him.
Yeah, but why he does it, and you can, I don't take claim to a lot, but the fade I was pretty good at the fade. And right there, what he does is he stacks them. And, I tell my guys all the time, if you stack, there's three things that's gonna happen. There's one, they're gonna either run through you. It's gonna be when you slow down, they have to slow down if they're directly behind you. If they're on the sides of you, then they can make a play. And I tell young receivers all the time, as a DB, if his shoulder is in front of you, the DB has two hands and you have one hand. If you get your shoulder in front of his shoulder, you have two hands and that DB has one hand. So it's a battle shoulder right there. His shoulder is in front, so he has two
He's
hands.
got two hands.
The DB's behind him. So now he only has that one hand to try to knock it down. So he stacks him. He could even stack better. But the two things is what happened. If he's directly behind you and I slow down for a fade, he's gonna run through me. It's gonna be a pass interference, or he's gonna trip over his feet like he does right there, and you're gonna score a touchdown. So that's the key where receivers fail so much. It's leverage and stacking. If you stack, and at this point, once he stacks them immediately, like he needs to stack them faster. Like right when he gets there, play it, stop. He needs to start stacking and getting his shoulder in front. And he kind of does at the end, stacks him, gets his shoulder in front. Oh, buddy falls down because you're behind him. You get kicked by his feet. He catches over his outside shoulder, and then he's gone. So, like, that's the key. And I wish I could do a clinic and show kids, and I had time. But stacking, man, it will lead to victory. And even catching over your outside shoulder, man, that's hard to do. I had a guy at West Virginia when I was coaching, top 10 draft pick, or maybe top 15.
Kevin White?
Yeah, Kev.
We know who it is, brother.
And we struggle with catching over outside shoulder for a long time.
I think he did that in the NFL too. There's a reason he ain't playing.
But we worked.
Boy was fast though.
Yeah,
but he was quick.
He got it for a while. The year that he, because we practice it every single day. I think sometimes these guys, they go up there and I know Larry Fitzgerald has a big camp that they go to, and it's 100 guys. If you're going with 100 guys, you're not really getting that work that you need. So, like I said, I think that's one thing that guys fail miserably at when it comes to the fade is being able to stack. But I tell them, that's the best thing he did. He got his shoulder in front, had two hands, stacked them. And I guarantee you 50% of the time, if you stack, a DB is going to fall down. Guarantee it. And so
just the whole play right here.
Beautiful job.
Falls down.
And he leans on him too. That's excellent.
That's nice. Let's run through this play real quick again. I don't know why they're highlighting the quarterback. It's a free play. Throw a jump ball. Love a good fade route. Patience. The DB messes up there. Let's be real about it.
Yeah.
You can still give credit to Micah though in terms of he had all the
pass interference too.
Yeah, he had proper position though. It's a free play. So one more time through. Obviously the nose tackle jumps. Good ball by 15. PI. Micah's patient. Doesn't show his hands. Boom. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's the thing too that I've noticed a little bit more. He does not show his hands to the DB until the last possible second. I mean, and if you don't show your hands to the DB, that's one of the ticks they're looking for. It's like, hey, once you show where your hands are, they're going to put their hands there too. Because why would you put your hands somewhere if the ball isn't coming there?
As well as his head too.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of times, like there's a lot of people that keep their heads kind of slanted. As soon as you get your head all the way back, that's the cue for Jesus. They tell you, get your hands on him. When you see his head go up, you get your head up.
Yep.
So, a lot of times those guys that are really in tune with the game, really know what's going on, understand for instance, a comeback. My favorite thing on comeback, I was good at the fade, so I'm running, they're leaning on me, I'm leaning on them, I get my head up, they get their head up, I throw them by and stop. And so
Yep.
it's just little cues. I can't explain that enough at the receiver. It's tiny, tiny stuff that you got to be aware of. Hand placements. You can hit a DB's hip at a certain area and make them fold. If I ever see you in person, come talk to me and I'll hit you in that hip and make you fold. And you'll be like, dang, that's crazy. And it's just crazy when
Try
you're
to do it. Try to keep your balance at full speed too, huh?
for real. At full speed, it's impossible. So I think it's those parts of the game that if they can understand, if they do, some people want to know that stuff. That's what I give Kevin White his props every day. I try to leave and he'd be at the door. Hey, man, come out here. I'm like, man, I'm tired. Come on, we got to work on it. So there's some people that want to know that. There's some people that don't, because athleticism only takes you so far in this
For sure.
deal. And people got, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some people that are just better at all. LeBron James. It doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
besides
for
those
sure.
type guys, man, he's working. So even here, man, I think he does a fantastic job. And I know Coach Juice is gonna get him right. I like to see him stay sideways and catch it and take it to the house, honestly. He could slow
Underthrown
up,
ball a little bit,
turn,
but
but he didn't have to turn around. He could slow up and still catch that thing and
I
catch
got
that
you.
run. So I think there's some minute things that he does stuff that, like I said, there's not many receivers in this entire country that can do what he's doing. But I think definitely too he has some things that he can grow on and going on that next level. He's gonna have to because those DBs and like I said, those dudes are good as well. So like the Big 12 is not a joke when it comes to that's the part people got to understand too. Is he going to do stuff and be unstoppable? I think he's going to be tough to stop if he comes to Texas Tech. But y'all got to understand too, we recruit in the Big 12 DBs to stop really good receivers because that's what we do
Yeah,
in the Big
for
12.
sure.
So, man, he does some great stuff though. I haven't seen many receivers, especially in high school, doing this. And that's
16 at this point too. He's
yeah,
16.
that's tough for me to say, because I feel like I'm tough on it, but he's probably one of the best I've seen. So
Lined up in the backfield here, number one.
yeah,
This is what I'm talking about right here. Sees where the quarterback's on, finds the space, Bermuda
yeah.
triangle. Good throw by the quarterback there, going to the wrong side too.
Mike,
But he just finds a soft spot where he gives him some time.
if you want to get closer to Tech, man, Levelland is got an opening. Come on through, man.
Are you talking to me about film?
No, I said Micah. If you
Oh,
need
Micah.
Micah, you want to get closer to Texas Tech and make sure it's the place for you, brother. We got a spot 20 minutes outside of town. Come on through, brother. Come on through.
This is like obviously a busted play a little bit. I think the quarterback leaves the pocket a little too early, but you're looking at it, and again, you could tell he's running an angle route here to begin with, but he's also figuring out just what you were talking about earlier. The leverage is going to be hard for Buddy here at the linebacker spot to guard him regardless, but
He's
his
done.
hips are already pointed the wrong way. So
Dunzo.
Mike is already pointed the right way. So he's like, all right, I'm going to win this one. Obviously
Dunzo.
wins it right there. Actually, linebacker did a pretty good job of getting back,
Mhm.
to be honest. And then Mike is like, okay, I'm going to go find a soft spot. Leans over. Quarterback going the wrong direction. A good solid throw here by him. But Micah finds the soft spot in the defense where the safety's probably biting too far deep and catches the football. So I think that's the interesting thing too, is just to see him find those soft spots when he's not just totally relying on his athleticism. He's actually
Mhm.
trying to read what's going on a little bit is a pretty big deal. Again, on this play right here, Lyle, this is probably the closest thing we've seen to press coverage. It's still 5 yards off. But again, lower part of the field right there, 2025. And then he makes four guys miss.
Yeah. You
Just a
can't.
foot in the ground. He's Gucci to the building. He's
Yeah.
making a house call.
Yeah, you can't teach that. I like I said, I don't understand why these folks are playing him one on one and blitzing everybody, but like I said, you
Does he
still got
catch
to
this
make it happen
football?
without a doubt. It's tough.
He caught that?
Yeah, it's tough. And he jumped too early.
Yeah. I was about to say the same thing. He lost about 6-7 inches of vert because he jumped too early.
And still caught it. Yeah, nah.
He was almost on the ground. I kind of want to hear though, Lyle, like your overall thoughts. Micah Hudson, he's a 5-star wide receiver. There's not a lot to nitpick here.
Yeah.
But like overall, like when you're watching that, and again, I want to preface everything. Don't want to set Lyle up for failure here. That was a highlight package. He obviously does things wrong. Micah Hudson's going to tell you that too. He's working on things to get better every day. But from what you saw right there, and again, we really just watched the offensive side. He does some special team stuff in terms of the punt returning and kick returning too. But strictly as a wide receiver, Lyle, let's say 2 things that you saw from those highlights stand out the most about Micah Hudson and him potentially playing for the Scarlet and Black if it goes that way in terms of his commitment?
Yeah, I think just his nose for the ball. And I think secondly, find a way to get in the end zone. I think, like I said, that's just a knack. Everybody, everybody's, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of receivers are going to score that if you play receiver, you're going to. But you just had a knack for the end zone, especially anywhere inside the 20. Like I said, we know it's a highlight package, but anytime the 20, he found a way to get inside that end zone. So I think that's something that you can't teach. I think the people that score a lot of touchdowns in college scored a lot of touchdowns in high school. I don't think there's many people that don't score much and then turn around and go to the next level and be like, man, I scored 20 touchdowns. So I think it's just a knack of him being able to find the ball, being able to get in the end zone, and just overall hands. And like I said, that's a highlight, but I've seen a game or two. It's not many drops. And so I'd say those are the things, the way he has a nose for the ball, catches the ball, finds the end zone. Definitely. And then 2 for me on the other side of that is I just want to know his work ethic and, how he's going to work and how coachable is he, would be my 2 things on that other side. Because like I said, I haven't seen many high school kids ever do that. But at the same time, like I can't explain, it's a big jump. I've had 6'4" corners that run a 4.3 that I went against. It's different. So I'm anxious to see his work ethic. I think that comes down to how hard does he work, how good he is, and how good he continues to be if he comes here. So I'm excited, man, but he's fantastic. I cannot tell a lie. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I think his work ethic, again, obviously limited. We're not around him on a daily basis, but it sounds like it's a good work ethic. Like he's trying to get better and everything. But again, I think the thing that stands out to me is just his versatility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a weapon in every aspect of the word. You want him to line up in the backfield?
He
Cool.
can do it.
Slot? Cool. Outside? Cool. You want him in the middle on trips? Cool. Like,
and he does
he'll do
special teams.
Yeah. And I don't know how much special teams he'll be doing at Texas Tech if he's doing that much offensively. But you're right. He can do that if you need him to. And I think that's the aspect of, okay, if you have Micah in the slot, I just can't get this out of my head. Like, if you have Micah in the slot and he's on the same side of the field as Bradley, you have to throw everybody over there except for one corner. And then you got one corner on the other wide receiver on the other side. And if it's Loic and he beats him off the first step, Barron, Strong, or Will Hammond is going to make that throw.
Yeah, and also too over there, if he's beating them, then they ain't gonna have everybody on that one side. So that's it. The puzzle, it all depends. Like we said, it all depends on who shows up and who shows out. So then it gets to the point, if Bradley doesn't do as good as the other side, then you put him on the other side, then there's no one on Bradley. So it may help Bradley out in the long run. So like I said, I just think it all plays off of each other. If Micah comes in and doesn't do what he's supposed to do, then none of that matters what we're talking about. They're just going to double the outside. So that's my biggest thing, is how well did they gel, how Kit uses them, where he puts them, and as far as where these guys show up too. Because that's been my thing for 2 years. I said I don't think the receiver play has been excellent. I don't think it's been bad, but I think we struggle with getting off the ball. So year older, year stronger, year smarter. I'm hoping we get that separation and stuff. But if we're not getting separation, you know what I'm saying?
They've done a pretty good job with it, though.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like I'm not trying to put too much pressure on a kid, but it's one of those things where you watch Micah Hudson, and God forbid an injury, you see there's a hard time of finding him not being able to succeed, right? Like a
Mhm.
scenario of it. Like he's just got, even if he can't beat you burning you in terms of your speed, he's smarter than you and he's shifty, right?
Yeah.
They're like there's so many tools in his toolbox.
Yeah.
It's just honestly, it's kind of disrespectful and not fair. It's just like, why couldn't I get one? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I don't want to hear you say, yeah, me too, brother. No, you got like 4 of
Yeah.
those tools, bro.
Oh,
I
no.
didn't get
Right.
one. I didn't get one.
I ain't made nobody
Okay.
miss,
I'm
brother.
slow. I'm slow. My hips are ancient. They pop every time I move. And well, I'm really slow. I gotta
Let me
point that
tell
one
you
out
something,
again.
brother. When you're out there fighting for your life, speed will come. When you show up there and you know you ain't supposed to
Oh
be out
yeah,
there, then
yeah. I'm
you
just worried
survive.
about what my calves are gonna say 2 days later. Really, more than anything. It's not
Brother,
that first day after. It's the second day after now.
when you see somebody at 250 running full speed, I promise you your
Oh,
calves will cut
oh no,
right back
trust me.
into
Yeah, yeah,
place.
yeah. No, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Yeah, I remember in high school. Again, I haven't grown since high school. I'll be fully honest about it. Um, we were playing Malik Monk. He plays basketball now for the Sacramento Kings, and
Yeah.
he was 14. I was
Uh-huh.
18.
Mm.
Um, and I was making business decisions left and right on that front. Again, basketball, completely different sport, obviously, but yeah, he dropped 50 on me still at 14 years old, so that was cool. Memories, man,
He's
memories.
good. He's pretty good though.
Not good ones, but memories. All right, well, that was fun, man. We'll be breaking down more stuff too. We'll probably do a Tyler Shuck one of these. We break down some actual game film, have
Yeah.
some good bad plays from Tyler Shuck. It's hard to find bad plays right now with Micah Hudson in high school, just because it's difficult to find high school film, more so
Mhm.
highlights. But we can find stuff for like Tyler Shuck and guys like that and everything, and talk a little bit more in depth about that. But this is fun, man. I know the people are going to enjoy it. And where can they find you on social media? I'm debating. Should we put this all out as one part or break it up into two? I'm thinking two.
I'm thinking too, for sure.
Okay, we'll break it up into 2 parts. All right, Lyle, where can the people find you on Twitter, my guy?
Hey, y'all can find me at Coach LLEONG. And you can find the man, the myth, and the legend, RC.
At RCMB323, about to hit 10K.
Ooh.
About to hit that 5-digit mark. So help me get there. I'll probably lose followers for asking for that, but it's whatever. All right. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long. Again, I got to make something real quick it's special since y'all waited till the end of the podcast. Y'all watching the whole way through, about 40 minutes in. Special announcement. Y'all see it at the bottom of the screen. Todger Gocher will be on the podcast here in a couple weeks. He'll be talking TVT. He'll be talking his time at Tech, what he thinks about this roster right now at Texas Tech. I'll be asking him about his career over in Europe. Lyle will be there as well. We'll be talking about a ton of stuff when it comes down to Todrick. You're going to want to hear that. One of the nicest dudes that I've ever met associated with Texas Tech athletics. Real genuine dude. And I'll tell you this, and he might not like me for it, but I know he'll agree with me. Not the best athlete in his family. That's his wife. Track star at Texas Tech. Giving it to you right there. You know what? Knowing Todrick, he's 100% going to say his wife's a better athlete. But just humble dude. But he's Lyle. I'm RC. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video if you think Texas Tech will land 5-star wide receiver Micah Hudson, and subscribe to the Back to 12 podcast to stay in the know on Texas Tech athletics all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.